Buddies, so today I'm doing a review video which is going to be a very serious comparison because I'm going to be comparing the Bajaj Dominar 400 to a motorcycle which has been ruling its segment for well over 3 years now, and that is the KTM Duke 390. KTM built a fortress of a wall with its Duke 390 and no other motorcycle has been able to penetrate it because of the price point, the performance, the awesome tires, the brakes and the whole comprehensive package. But Bajaj has almost, I think, nailed it and probably is going to break that fortress of a wall with its Dominar 400. Now I have ridden this motorcycle extensively today and have done quite a bit of a testing, so I think I can speak about this motorcycle today. So let us start by one thing which all of us like, that is looks. Which motorcycle actually looks good? And my personal opinion would be hands down the Dominar 400. Now don't get me wrong, that Duke is owned by me and I worked hard and paid for it with my money, so it's not that I don't like Duke. I absolutely love the Duke 390, but again, look at it for yourself. The Duke does not really give you a big bike feel. It is very lean, it is nimble, but again, most of us like the big bike feel, correct? And that is what the Dominar 400 gives us. Check out the tank. Absolutely awesome. And the lines which kind of give you a naked sport bike feel, something like, you know, any of the liter class naked bikes. And the whole the side profile of the motorcycle, everything put together, it is an absolute head turner. And even when you sit on the motorcycle, this one, you know, you can, the tank is big, so the advantage of a big tank is that you can actually tuck your legs onto it much better than what you can do it on the Duke 390. And now another advantage of a big tank is that we all know the Duke 390 has fuel capacity only of about 9.5 liters, which is usable, correct? So I have done quite a bit of touring on the Duke 390. I once did a 2000 kilometer solo ride, and I know that you have to stop and refuel every 150 kilometers, which is not really a great thing. But on the Dominar 400, I'm not sure the exact tank capacity, but it's definitely much more than the Duke 390. So it gives you a longer range, more endurance on a highway. That way you can cruise for a longer time and have to do lesser fuel stops. And also remember, this motorcycle has been tuned by Bajaj. So although it has a similar engine like the Duke 390, which is a 373cc engine, but this has 3 spark plugs and it is that DT SI kind of technology, which is completely focused towards fuel efficiency. So anyone who owns a Duke knows that it's not very fuel efficient. It is focused more towards the raw performance, but I'm sure the Dominar will get you better fuel efficiency. So that means the Dominar would be better for your day-to-day use. And I have been riding this motorcycle in the traffic quite a bit, and this one does not heat up as much as the Duke 390 because that again gets back to the compression ratios. This motorcycle, although having the same kind of an engine as the Duke 390, it makes slightly lower power. This makes about 35 PS and the Duke 390 makes about 42 or 43 PS. But again, that's only on the top end power. Low end acceleration, the torque is absolutely beautiful. This motorcycle makes 35 Nm of torque and that makes about 38 Nm of torque. So the low end and the mid range of this motorcycle would be almost as good as the Duke 390. And the top speeds, as we know, we are not really going to be doing top speeds very often, correct? So this motorcycle on the whole is very usable, is much better to ride in traffic than the Duke 390. And also the engine, the Duke 390's engine, the power is kind of kick-ass. You know, people have been calling it the hooligan, correct? Because that is kind of acceleration that you feel on the Duke 390. So this one, what it does is, the power is linear, it is smooth. Although you're accelerating, it does it gradually. So again, if you are someone who rides track, who likes track riding, yes, a linear powered engine on a racetrack is much better, because when you're throttling out of a corner, it is more gradual power. Now friends, let us speak about something that is which helps you, which is your lifeline when you are riding a motorcycle in the night, and that is the headlight. Now anyone who owns a Duke 390 knows that the stock headlight is very ordinary, so people have switched to aftermarket headlights with a Philips headlight and blah blah, but that is where the Dominar scores hands down. This headlight is beautiful. It is always on. It has got that nice illumination, and the company claims that it can focus up to 1.5 kilometers or sometimes beyond that in good weather conditions. So this motorcycle is definitely better to ride and tour in nights compared to the Duke 390. Now again, you would say Duke 390 is getting a newer model in 2017, but again, remember, KTM doesn't always launch the new models right in the month of January, correct? They take quite a bit of time. Still, there is no official confirmation when the new Duke 390 2017 model would be launched. So I'm not comparing the Dominar to the new KTM Duke 390. I'm only going to be comparing it to the current KTM Duke 390. So now let us speak about another point, that is the tires. With the Duke 390, you get the sticky Metzeler tires. But what if you are not someone who likes track riding, you're not someone who likes cornering? In that case, you would end up burning, end up shredding these tires in about 8 or 10,000 kilometers. And you would have to get a new set of tires, which are not cheap. A 16 or 18,000 and sometimes even 20,000 rupees a set. So why do you want to spend that kind of money in case you are not into high performance riding? You could be only someone who's riding for pleasure on highway and for daily commuting. So that way the MRFs on this motorcycle, MRF revs, are much better and more suitable for daily commuting, touring, because they will last much longer. And I tried cornering on these tires and they behaved really well, and I'm sure I can take this motorcycle onto a racetrack with these tires also, and it should be pretty good. So that way, even in the tire section, this motorcycle wins hands down when it comes to touring and daily commuting. And now, the brakes, the most important thing on a motorcycle, and both the motorcycles have the Bi-Bree brakes, which is a sub-brand of Brembo, which is an excellent news. So you're not really getting inferior brakes on the Dominar 400. And even the size of the rotor, I have not exactly checked the specs, but it when you look at it, it looks the same, and even the design looks the same. So braking wise, I'm almost sure both the motorcycles would perform the same. Although I have ridden the Dominar for quite a kilometers now, but I'm not commenting on the brakes because the brake pads are absolutely new. And as we know that the brake pads have to bed in right onto the rotor, and only then they start generating friction. The Dominar's brakes are good because, as I said, that these are the same brakes. It has steel braided lines and the same kind of a rotor that the Duke 390 has, but I am not commenting very strongly on the brakes, the bite of the brakes, because the brake pads are new. But I'm sure in case you upgrade the brake pads or once they bed in, the brake performance on the Dominar 400 would be similar to the Duke 390. And now, something which we all love to hear, that is, on a motorcycle, we love the exhaust note, correct? We all love a motorcycle that sounds good. And most of my friends, including me, are not really a fan of the exhaust note of the Duke 390, correct? I mean, it's an awesome motorcycle, but the exhaust note is kind of not so pleasing onto your ears. But the exhaust note of the Dominar 400 is absolutely beautiful. Let me crank this motorcycle up for you and let us check this out. Now let us go and crank the Duke up so that we get the immediate impression. Basically that sound which goes like tack 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 tack, that is kind of an irritating sound. Else on the higher revs, yes, the motorcycle sounds fine. But the Dominar sounds really beautiful even on the lower revs. So again, on the exhaust note bit, the Dominar has scored hands down. Let us talk about something which we all focus on when we are riding a motorcycle. That is the console, the display console. And although both motorcycles have the LCD display, but check out the display console of the Dominar. Here we go. It is more appealing. It is more like the Triumph motorcycles kind of a display, where it is kind of black behind and the grayish whitish display, and even the tachometer is really well placed, and it's kind of more appealing than the Duke 390. And also, if you take a look at this, on the tank we have all the warning things like the battery, the engine, check engine warning, the coolant temperature, and side stand indicator, and the ABS. So it is kind of, you know, more, it gives you a way more premium feel on this motorcycle with the display console than the Duke 390. And again, I'm only speaking about the current Duke 390 and not the 2017 Duke 390. So let me also show the Duke 390's display console right away so that you get the side-by-side comparison information. Here we go. You see that? I mean, again, these kind of things are personal preferences. You know, someone could like this kind of a console and someone could prefer the Dominar. But in general, yes, the Dominar one looks much better, especially with what it has on the tank. Now, let us talk about something which creates a variety. That is, why would you want to have a motorcycle which has a very limited color options, correct? On the Duke 390, we only have white and black, and initially we only had white. But on the Dominar, currently, even just when it launched, we have 3 color options. One is the white, one is the maroon, and another is the bluish color. So you have very attractive colors, but my favorite is the white. Looks absolutely beautiful. Now friends, something very critical. That is, when the Duke 390 was launched, and even till now with the current models also, most of us have faced one concern. That is, when this motorcycle goes into strong potholes, the alloy wheels have cracked very often. That is because KTM has put extremely lightweight racing kind of alloy wheels onto the Duke 390, which are absolutely great for the racetrack, because on the racetrack you don't have potholes. But for general city riding conditions and highway riding conditions where you could face potholes very often, in that situation, these kind of very lightweight alloy wheels are not a boon but a curse. But what Bajaj has done, they have put awesome looking alloy wheels, but they haven't really focused on putting very lightweight alloy wheels. They have put stronger alloy wheels because this motorcycle is not only a track oriented motorcycle, correct? They have focused on commuting and touring. So although the alloy wheels are heavier, they would be much more reliable and safer in pothole conditions like our highways and our urban cities. Most of us like the Duke 390 because it's very nimble, correct? It's very lightweight, but there is a downside to it. Let me speak about it later on. And few of my friends have said that the Dominar is good, but it weighs 185 kilograms. And whereas the Duke weighs about 145 or 150 kilograms. You know what? The weight factor, which is lesser on the Duke 390, is great for a racetrack, but not really great when it comes to touring on a highway. Because if you have toured on a Duke 390 on the highway and a huge truck passes by you, you would notice that the motorcycle kind of gets pushed. And even if there are crosswinds, it kind of gets pushed to the side. So it is so lightweight that, you know, the factor of nimbleness is great for performance riding on a track, but not on a highway. Whereas the Dominar 400, with its 185 kg weight, would be better for highway stability because it can take more of crosswinds and also it would kind of feel more stable. And even on a racetrack, if you are a rider who has kind of mastered riding on a racetrack, the additional weight won't really matter. And in city, don't worry about it. You might think this one weighs about 30 odd kilograms more than the Duke 390, so it would be tough to ride in the city, but not at all. Once you are on the motorcycle, it does not make any difference. Another thing which many of us did not like on the Duke 390 is the seat. Yes, this seat, as a matter of fact, is an awesome seat, but awesome for track riding. Yes, because it is kind of chiseled and tough. Because when you're on a racetrack, you don't want a comfortable cushion kind of a seat because you'll be bouncing on the seat when you're taking corners. But the same seat which is good on a racetrack is not really good for long rides. Many of us, including me, faced a huge issue touring on this motorcycle with this seat because you end up getting a sore bum. And people struggled and they bought aftermarket seats, blah blah. But the same kind of a thing which is an advantage on the Dominar 400, because check this seat out. Although it's a very good looking seat, what they have done is that they have converted a long one-piece seat, which is generally very comfortable, and they put a slit in between. So it does look sporty, but still gives you the comfort of a long seat. Now, having a long seat, the advantage is that if you have a pillion, it could be a girlfriend, wife, or a friend, he or she would feel more comfortable because the seat is bigger. And when it comes to cushioning, the seat has got better cushioning. And even the sides, they are not as chiseled as the Duke 390. So in the seat department, again, this motorcycle wins hands down when it comes to highway riding and general commuting. And when you talking about track riding, unless you are 100% professional riding on a track, this seat is absolutely fine. And if you take a look at the rear pillion seat on the Duke 390, it is really small, very small. And if someone who is slightly on the bigger side, well built, then this seat would not be very comfortable for them. And not only for pillions, but a small seat means that putting tail bags, saddle bags won't really be so easy. That is carrying luggage for your touring purpose. But check this out. You know, much bigger seat on the rear means you can put more luggage on the Dominar 400. And also the bigger tank means that you can put a bigger tank bag onto the Dominar 400. Now friends, on any performance motorcycle, we always see upside down telescopic forks, correct? They look good and they're also known to be very good for performance, for cornering. But most of us ride these motorcycles in our urban conditions, where there is so much of dust. Check this out, so much of dust. And what happens is that the tube section of these forks is exposed to the dust if they are upside down forks. And that is one big reason the oil seals on the Duke 390 have failed so often. Because when dust gets onto this area of the forks, the dust can damage the dust caps of the forks, and when the dust caps get damaged, the oil seals start to leak. That is again where the Dominar 400 has scored. The Dominar 400 has regular conventional forks where the tube part is on the top and the oil part is at the bottom. So what this does is, again, you might say, oh, it's not really performance oriented, but as I mentioned that not every one of us do performance riding, correct? So now in dusty conditions, even if dust gets onto this, it's only getting onto this area and not getting onto the tube part of the forks. So that way your oil seals are better protected, because we like it or not, but our urban conditions are very dusty. So your motorcycle, even when you're touring, would be more reliable because your oil seals will not go bust, and it's a better thing that way.
And the best part is that she does not heat up. I mean, the engine does not heat up as much as the Duke 390. That is probably to do with the compression ratios. So it is actually a good news, because if you are someone who has ridden the Duke 390 in bad traffic, then you would understand how tough it is to ride that machine, because it really heats up a lot. So that is where the Dominar 400 actually scores really well, because this one doesn't heat up so much. Very often on the Duke 390, if you're stuck in these kind of traffic signals for a longer period, you would start to see a high coolant temperature warning on the coolant temperature, and the motorcycle can actually cut off the engine. The ECU can cut off the engine so that the motorcycle can cool down. But this one so far is really well behaved. I'm actually putting my hand near the engine and actually touching the engine. You know that? I'm touching it, and it's still very good.
So friends, I have reached the end of this review video. I'm sure this is a very long video, but again, information based videos cannot be short. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'm going to be speaking about the last and also probably the most important point, that is value for money proposition. I have always said it in my previous videos that the Duke 390 has been the greatest value for money proposition motorcycle ever to hit the Indian market. But Bajaj has nailed it, has kind of made something which is super value for money, because Duke 390 is about 2,20,000 rupees on road, right? I think so. But the Dominar 400, the ABS version, is about 1,60,000 rupees on road. Now you're speaking a price difference of 60,000 rupees. So that is a huge price difference, because you can invest that money in buying awesome riding gear, awesome helmets, and probably an action camera and whatnot. And if you are someone who doesn't kind of think about buying the ABS version, then this motorcycle is even cheaper. It's about 1,36,000 ex-showroom, so add another 10,000 rupees for it to be on-road. So this is something which is almost unbelievable when it comes to the price point. And I call this motorcycle a no-brainer. That is, you got the money, and if you're looking for a motorcycle which looks good, performs well, does touring, does great commuting, and also does track days, go for it. Don't think beyond it. And as I've already mentioned that I own that Duke 390 and I love Duke 390s, but the Dominar 400 is indeed a better value for money proposition. And buddies, if you are interested in test riding the Dominar 400, which I strongly recommend, well, do visit Deccan Bajaj Motors in Secunderabad. I'll be putting up the phone number of the manager of Deccan Bajaj in the description of this video, and do test ride the motorcycle. And I have known Deccan Bajaj for quite some time now, and their service of the motorcycles and also the customer service is absolutely awesome. And if you have any questions, do let me know, and I thank Deccan Bajaj for letting me ride this motorcycle and test it. That's it friends. Thank you very much, and if you're not subscribed to me, you're missing out on about 420 videos. Do check out my channel. Thank you. I'll be uploading more videos on the Dominar 0 to 100 runs and other moto vlog experiences. Thank you. Cheers.